Good morning, Martin. Welcome to episode 110 of Illuminating Rounds. I'm sick. You're sick.
I think we both picked something up at Bounding Fire, didn't we? I think
we did. Yeah. I'm going to competition first one to cough. We'll try and see how long we can last without coughing.
Yeah, I think mine might be the loudest and juiciest, even if it's not the first. I think it's I'm not feeling very well at all.
Me either. Cough, cold, and I've got a sore eye. I've had like a sty or something. I don't know what that is when your eye gets a bit funky.
So my dad always used to pull his eyelashes out.
Yep.
If he got a sty, and that used to cure it.
That's apparently it's infected.
A sty, so I don't. Yeah, I've never had to do it, but
it feels like they're a bit too attached to your eyelids to do that, and it feels like you're gonna.
Yeah. I think you need commitment.
You do.
Super glue it to the door and then ring. Call your missus or whatever to come.
Yeah. There's that video of the little kid that gets a parrot to pull her tooth out as well. Have you seen that one?
No. I've got far too many important things to do in my lifetime.
Don't tell me you won't be searching that today. You're gonna.
Do you know, when I was a kid, my friend said I had a loose tooth, a wobbly tooth, and my friend said, "Let's tie some string around it and tie it to the door knocker, and then we'll ring the bell, and then when my mum opens the door, it'll pull your tooth out." So we did it. I mean, I'm an idiot, aren't I? Absolutely, this is going to hurt. There's no way this is not going to hurt. She opens the door, and it didn't pull my tooth out. It pulled me into the house. I got dragged by my tooth into the house.
It's funny, when you said about tying it to a door knocker, I assumed you meant like one of those 20L anti-tank guns.
That might have pulled it out. That might have got my tooth out.
Yeah. Well, presumably the shell.
No, I didn't mean that.
Not the gun. But okay. Well, we're going to muddle through this one.
We are.
Obviously, the sign of a good, healthy, well attended tournament is we all come back with some diseases
with each other's coughs and colds.
Yes, yeah. So we had a great time at Bounding Fire. You'll be very pleased to know I finished fourth. I didn't actually play my third and fourth place playoff, so apologies to Martin Vicker, who I should have played. I was kind of coerced into, if I could get back early, I could go out for dinner with Nicole's parents. So that was the way I rushed back 4.5 hours down the motorway to have a nice Italian dinner. But we had a great time. Simon Staniforth, what a man, what a tournament organizer he is. There's a special place in heaven for good tournament organisers, where I believe they are well catered for, and because that man, he was efficient and polite and firm and just did everything right, didn't he? Really.
Yeah, no, Simon's brilliant at that job. Yeah.
So the tournament is all around. Bounding Fire sponsors the tournament, and also MMP also did, and a few other second chance games, but predominantly Bounding Fire, and they do it in order to get some playtesting for sometimes some unpublished, but very close to being published scenarios. And what improved, I've exactly what we kind of bang the drum for here, but it's, if you all play the same scenario, it's great because there's a little bit more to talk about, and you get a little bit more group think about what the scenario was like at the end and everything like that. So I love it. And so the idea that we all play one tournament scenario rather than a choice, and towards the end there was a couple of choices, but I thought it was a really good idea. You didn't play in the tournament itself, did you?
No. I wasn't going to go at all, was I? But I was feeling a little bit down on ASL tournament attendance, but I changed my mind at the last minute. But I just went for a couple of days instead of the whole 4 days. But I had such a good time. I was so glad I went. And I did toy with staying an extra day, but I've got a lot of things going on at home, right. And in the end, the sensible me decided to come home.
Yeah.
But I had a friend. As soon as I walked in the door, I got a friendly game with Gary. He's played hundreds of games, has never played the Japanese. I played him his first game in the PTO, and he managed to win that, so that was a bonus. I was in the minis, and that was very enjoyable. Enjoyable. Well, apart from the game with you, it was like I ended up playing you, didn't I? The second round of that.
Why wasn't that enjoyable?
It was. Of course, it was enjoyable
because you won.
Yeah. And then Friday morning, I was leaving Friday, so I checked out of my room, but I'd arranged to play quite a chunky scenario with Martin Mayers, my old nemesis, and we just had the best possible fun playing that game. Martin won in the end. It was quite close in the end, but it was absolute mayhem. I remember the first 2 turns moving his British through the rubble, and we just weren't damaging each other. Like I hadn't lost.
You were playing Feast Day, weren't you?
Feast Day, which is a smashing scenario. So there was just no losses. Neither of us had really lost anything, and then I started thinking, you know what, I need to go home. So let's push this. I'm defending. I started like pushing into close combat with him all over the place. Close combat's everywhere, and of course they swing wildly, don't they? So one I win, and it's like, whoa, looks like I might win, and then he'd win, wipe out a stack, of my guys, and oh, blimey, looks rough now. So it ended up being a very, very enjoyable game, and we had an awesome moment actually where we both were laughing quite a bit right at the end, where it was going to amount to control of a building, and he controlled it, but he only had one broken single man counter in the building, and obviously I can push him out very easily, and but he's keeping control of the building, and in his final turn he'd have to recapture it which would be difficult for him. So if this single man counter can hang on to control of the building, then I'm the one that's gonna struggle to win. And he actually rolled the dice in his turn for style points. He said, "We're going to rally him," and he was likely to rally him. It was like an 8 or a 9 or something to rally him. But of course, he rolled double 6. So then he's got a 1 in 3 chance of losing control of the building, totally changing the likely outcome of the game. But he then rolled a 2, so
nice.
So he went on to win. But it was a very, very, very good game.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Sad to leave. Actually.
He said it was the best game he played in years. He said.
Yeah.
He hasn't played for 2 years, so maybe that's
perhaps an explanation for that.
Yeah. but yeah, no, it was very, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I played a game against Ian Morris in this game. So we were playtesting a scenario, and there was 10 games of this one going on. I don't have the name of the scenario, so it's a pre-published one, but basically it was a really impressive Japanese force against some ragtag kind of Dutch defenders with some trucks, and out of the 10 games that were being played for that game, every person wanted the Japanese. They had flamethrowers, demo charges. The Dutch had green troops and trucks, and the kind of the army of Dutch guys that were left defending, everyone was like a bit morose about it. Oh my goodness, like. It turned out that 6 out of the 10 games were Dutch wins. So it kind of was a very impressive scenario in terms of everyone felt that the Dutch were complete dogs, and yet they managed to win. But my win, there's a row house. So the Japanese have to control 4 buildings, and there's a row house at the last row house, and it's got 3 hexes. So if you imagine like the first, the middle, and the last one, and I have 2 units. I have a green squad in the middle, and I have a half squad in the far right-hand row house hex. And so he goes into close combat. He's got squads in the first hex. He goes to close combat for the second one, and close combat for the third. And we do the middle one first. And the middle one is a mutual destruction. We're all wiped out. So there's an empty hex, and then we go to the last hex, and he's got like a 4-1 with the Japanese attacking my half squads.
Yeah.
And he rolls a 6 for ambush. I roll a 1, and I'm able to withdraw into the middle hex. I have to survive a whole turn, but there's no one that can fire at me to get the win. So it feels like a very fortunate win. And then in the semi-final, I play not initial skirmish. What did I play? Oh, Tolstoy Woods. I play Wilbins. And I think this is the sloppiest end to a game I've ever played. So in this one, I was kind of, like I say, I was kind of in back of my mind trying to think, well, I could go home if I lose this, so it's not a problem. I wasn't desperately competitive about this one. And it comes to the point where he's got a broken unit, very similar to yours, in a building, and all I have to do is finish adjacent, and then I can advance him for the win. And but there's residual everywhere. He's got a lot of units still able to fire. And so I must move about maybe six units trying to get into this building, and every one of them pins or breaks, whatever. And it comes to the last unit, and I move it, and we say, okay, well, this is for the game, really. He rolls I can't remember, morale check, pin check, whatever. I pin. So we say, okay, well played. And I look down as I'm just about to start clear up. We technically haven't shook hands. I don't know if that's the final point of which you can
Yeah, it's
kind
an
of claim
interesting
this.
point. Yeah.
And I lift up a residual counter and I'm like, oh, this guy hasn't moved yet. We put residual on him, which is awkward because we've done final
Yeah,
fire. So,
yeah, yeah,
you know, I've lost. I've got to accept I've lost,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And he's like, oh, no. Well, if you're going to move him, then move him. I'm like, well, look, you know, I'm not going to do anything special. I won't try and take advantage of your final fired shots. And obviously, if you want to take back your final fired shot, you can, but then you're not going to be able to fire at this guy who's then going to move in for the win. So I move into this 4 residual, so 4 down 1, and it's a pin check, and so for the game, and I, you know, 7 morale guys, and I roll a 7, so we're fine. So I've won. So he's like, oh, you've won. I was like, oh, well. He goes, wait, that residual I think should be a 6, not a 4, because it was a. So I'm like, oh my god, okay. What if it's a 6 and it's a morale check, and now I've pinned? Okay, I guess you've won. So I was fine
who knows who won that game?
Yeah, who knows? But I was happy, and we went on to the final
Yeah.
and lost against Craig, who won the
Yeah.
fight. And Craig had a ridiculously tough route to that final. He had to beat Mark Blackmore, who's you know,
Yes.
his kind of nemesis or at least sparring
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
He had to play Martin Vicker as well in the semi final, which was, you know, clearly a tricky game as well. And then obviously Will in the final. So, you know, a well deserved victory, even if it pains me to say so. But well done,
Yeah,
Craig.
fantastic. So what do you? I mean, you and Will are old friends, and you obviously playing even in a tournament with that spirit. But do you think that's like? I mean, he would be well within his rights to say we'd moved on to final fire, I suppose, and therefore you've lost the game. It was your fault.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, yes,
it's
you're
tricky
right.
because it doesn't help that he put a counter over it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
But this
but
is why all the way through it, regardless of tournament scenario or whatever, I will play with. If you forget to rally someone, have the rally. If you forget to prep fire someone, if you like, you know this, and you do the same thing. If we've forgotten to move a unit and we're in the route phase or whatever, you're moving that unit if you want to move that unit, right?
Yeah. But there are lots of people who won't play like that, and I understand, and I'm kind of like respectful of that attitude too.
Yeah, and you're right. So a lot is made of tournament games, and this is what I want to talk about as well in terms of kibitzing. But a lot is made of tournament games as opposed to non-tournament games being somehow more prestigious or more accurately played. At this stage in all of our lives, okay, no game is worth falling out over or getting grumpy about or whatever, right? So if you play a game in the spirit it's intended, whether it's we're not playing for world titles here, you know, there's maybe the ASLOG final maybe is the one you might be able to claim as some kind of prestigious thing, but if you have to win it on what is clearly a mistake or an oversight, I kind of think, I mean, you're well within your rights to say tournament games are played at the top level. And I can see there is an argument for that. But ultimately, we're playing a game for fun and we play it to enjoy it. And the tournament, just in theory, is putting a little bit of a framework around that.
Yeah. I have to say, you know, to some extent, I think that, you know, me and you play reasonably quickly. And that's, you know, and perhaps, you know, if you said, right, okay, that we're not going to allow anything like that to happen, we're going to be very, very strict about the sequence, then to some extent it does slow the game down because you have got to make sure you've moved every single unit before you go, right, that's the end of the movement phase. It's so I guess it depends on the spirit that you play the game.
Yeah, you're right. The problem is that I think that kind of level of meticulous attention to the game does tend to promote sometimes a little bit of gaminess. So, for example, let me get that. You know, Will didn't do this, of course. Let me get that, you know, residual firepower and put it right on that counter. And
so deliberately.
Yeah. I'm not saying that people would, because I mean, in a way, that's cheating. It's not cheating, but it's definitely dubious play.
It's definitely dubious. Yeah.
You know, there's also the instance where, you know, some people like to turn their counters a little bit when they move them. Others don't. Will didn't do that, and more than one occasion was like, I don't know if I've moved this counter or not. I'm like, just move him. If you want to move him again, move him again. Yeah. So what do I do?
Toby moves my counters for me when I don't change the angle.
Someone told me that someone did that and they didn't like it, and they kind of put them back again. They didn't like people touching their counters. So it is tricky. And then of course we've got the kibitzing. Now we thought this was a new discussion on Game Squad. It turns out it's just been a resurrected thread from a few years ago.
2005.
But but there is this point about kibitzing, and I've told this hundreds of times. I'll say it one more time for context. In tournament Magic the Gathering play, if you see a misplay on a game and you don't report it to a judge, and by reporting to a judge, you literally have to stick your hand up and shout "judge," okay, and someone will come over fairly quickly. If you don't do that, and someone else sees that there's been a mistake call, you are as liable as the players playing. All right. Now, of course, there's an argument to be said. Maybe you didn't understand the rule or whatever, and that's fair. But in the instance of like someone maybe drawing 2 cards instead of drawing 1 card, or doing something dubious. Now, in what happened in the tournament, and there was no issues, there was no problems, nothing. There's no drama about this story at all. No. But during the game, someone said, "Oh, do crews cower?" And someone on my table responded, "No." And in my mind, I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I thought they did, but I can't remember thinking that.
Yeah,
I'll need to look it up at some point." So 10, 15 minutes later, Craig has sat down and someone else has sat down, and I'm just kind of flicking through the rules. And I kind of try to check, and I don't see a rule talking about the fact that crews don't cower.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah. So I turn to the guys because they'd asked the question, do crews cower? And I say, "Oh, crews don't cower, by the way. Crews do cower, by the way." And Craig said, "Dude, don't do rules advice in a tournament game." And I was like, "Well, okay, first of all, they'd asked the question. Second of all, they'd been given the wrong answer, which Craig wasn't aware of because he wasn't there at the time."
Yeah.
But also, it raises the question about whether or not you should kibitz on a rules debate. Now, again, I've told this story before. I'll tell it again just for context. 20 years ago, in one of my, not first tournaments, but certainly, one of my earlier tournaments, I witnessed.
It might have been my first tournament because I remember. It was my first or second. I remember you doing it.
Yeah, so there was a. I don't know if it was the final, but it was definitely a game later on in the tournament where they were going through ambush modifications to go through the bits and pieces, and it was a buttoned up half track or something like that, and they were going through the modifiers, and the player had said he was doing something like this: +1 for pinned. I think that's it. And I said, "Don't forget buttoned up." And of course, there was a little bit of a hoo-ha. You can't kibitz in a tournament game. Now, I'll say it again. I'll have an opinion on this one. I don't have many strong opinions. Rules knowledge shouldn't be accurate rules knowledge, not aspects of a rule book. Rules knowledge shouldn't be the ability to know that you can beat an opponent because you know a rule that your opponent doesn't know that is not an optional rule to apply. So of course, banzai in this position might be better than advancing. That's not up for kibitzing, no question at all.
Yeah.
And I remember the follow-on question to this because I remember talking about this at the time, which was the tricky thing about this is, and I understand why it's easier to draw a line to say no kibitzing at all, because if you start saying, okay, well, what are my chances of hitting if I take this shot? All right. And let's say one opponent thinks it's not very high, and then they turn to a kibitzer and they say, do I have a good chance of hitting with this tank against this guy? That's a rules question because there's no skill involved in that. It's a +2 for moving, +1 for buttoned up, ranges, whatever. Therefore, you've got a 14% chance of hitting or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's just factual. So, but it seems like it's beyond the scope of what should or shouldn't be allowed, even if we're thinking that rules knowledge is okay to intervene in a rules question.
Yeah.
Because then you'll feel like, okay, well, look, dare you say, oh, you've only got a 5% chance of hitting that. That feels like a very wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a 5% chance of hitting that. Still feels like that might be it. But it's still a factual.
Yeah.
So what's
yeah,
your thoughts?
That's true.
What's your thoughts?
So I thought it was very interesting. This 2005 thread had a poll, and this is a question not about tactics. This is a question about rules. So basically, should you correct? So you're walking past, and someone goes, "Oh, my crew, they're immune to cowering." Should you say, actually, they're not immune to cowering? Correct that. Genuine mistakes, assuming that obviously there's genuine mistakes. And I think it was like, it's like 43%, I think, something like that, thought yes, you should intervene, and the difference, 60-something%, they thought that you shouldn't in a tournament game.
Hang on, sorry. So 60% shouldn't.
So yeah, just a bit more than 60% thought that you should ignore it. It was none of your business. They're in a tournament. It's between those two guys. And what I thought was quite interesting was it was closer to 50-50 than I thought it would be. But when you read through the comments, people were going, I've put no, you shouldn't intervene because I wouldn't do it unless I knew someone very well and knew that they'd welcome it. But personally, would be grateful to anyone who told us that we were playing a rule wrong, even if it was like to my detriment. And a lot of people expressed it like that, which is like a nice man kind of response, isn't it? Which doesn't really answer the question, but which is right. You know, I'm too polite to do it myself, but would always welcome if somebody did it to me. And of course, Mark Pitcabbage tells us the right answer, of course, because Mark's always quite, you know, he's never sort of, a little bit like this, a little bit like that. He would agree with you completely. This is a game of rules. If somebody's playing the rules incorrectly, then they're playing the rules incorrectly. I think the other side to it, though, is that it doesn't say anywhere in the rules that it's the responsibility of the whole community to make sure that each game is played to the rules. It does say in there somewhere that it's the responsibility of the players, doesn't it? So I suppose you could make the case that it's those two people should certainly be helping each other to get the rules right, even if it's to your detriment, but not necessarily, not necessarily somebody outside of it. I can see it either way. Perhaps tournament directors should, but no one reads the rules of tournaments, do they? So, I can imagine Simon almost certainly has got a rule in there about this.
I think Simon may have. We can double check it. In fact, we will check it in a sec.
Yeah.
He may have said no kibitzing on the. There may be a no kibitzing. But
kibitzing isn't clear what that means. It's all it says is kibitzing. There are people who would think that applies to tactics, which is obvious. I think everybody would agree you shouldn't be saying this is what you should be doing here. But it's different when it comes to rules knowledge. But what I think people on that thread said, which was interesting, is that they've walked past people who've got the boards in the wrong configuration and they're just getting the counters out. Like
we had this
literally,
So we had this literally in the game. So we're starting to play a game, and I forget the guy's name. Is it Neil, the guy from Newcastle, the older gentleman that comes?
Neil Brunger, Neil Brunger,
Neil Brunger is the nicest guy. He's an absolute.
Do you know he does rock climbing?
Do you know what? I didn't know that, and
he does rock climbing still.
Yeah, he's 70 years old. I think he is 68, 70 years old, and he's
strong.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, he is this is a great example of someone who is the perfect gentleman. So he comes over and he looks at our game. We're just about to start, and he's looking at it. Oh, he's looking at the setup. And he's just looking. And I think it was, who was it? It wasn't you or my game, was it? I can't remember whose game it was that he was looking at.
I don't think it was the game we played.
All right. So he looks at it and he frowns. And I look at him.
It was our game.
He looks at it and frowns. And I say, "You okay?" And he says, "I'm saying nothing." And I look at him again and he's still got this puzzled look on his face. And we say, "Dude, just tell us. If there's something wrong, just tell us." You set up wrong. So we by tournament rules, we took all those pieces off the board and you forfeit them. Of course.
So hang on a second. Can I just tell the rest of this story?
Yeah.
Right. You hadn't set up, so I kept my counters and set them up correctly.
What were you going to say?
You then set up, and we began the game, and it was a disastrous setup. Because you forgot I had reinforcements.
Yeah, that's
right. On any side, yeah. So we started the game again.
And we called it. We called it the decider because you'd forfeited the first game.
Yeah, I lost the first game. You lost the second game. We decided it was the third one.
Yeah, this was the one that I charge all my tanks forward, forgetting that you had armor cars that can come on behind my tanks. So I was like, wait a minute, that seems like to be fair, you hadn't fired at them, you hadn't done anything. Yeah. But we were like, let's start again. But that's how ASL should be played, right? We could have, if we were two other people in two parallel universes where we're not as laid back as we are about this game.
Yeah.
I could have absolutely said, oh, sorry, you've got to take those pieces off now. Yeah. And you could have absolutely said, let's see how much of a mincemeat I could make of these tanks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, none of those outcomes would have been particularly fun.
I think a part of the thing is that there are more careful, better players who would have made neither of those mistakes.
That's true. That's very true.
And we're not in that category.
Very true. So, Martin, would you? Let's say, for example, you're seeing me in the final, and you think because the other argument that comes up. Sorry, just before I ask you this question, the other argument that comes up is, and I don't think this happens at all. But the argument is, well, what about if a really good player is playing a newbie and they tell them a rule that isn't true deliberately? Would you intervene? Now, again, we can't say for certain that when someone says, oh, I've done all the modifications and they haven't deliberately forgotten that rule. Yeah. So, but I don't think that happens. But because I like to think that doesn't happen. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm playing, you see a guy, my arch nemesis, I'm playing him, and he does something, I don't know, puts residual down.
You say to him, oh, he's coward, and he says, no, crews don't cower. And the game moves on. Yeah, the game moves on. You accept that because you go, oh, I thought that must be right. What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to say it.
You're going to say it?
Probably. Yeah.
Now, what about if you didn't know the players?
I mean, I should then say it's the same, shouldn't I? I should say this. Morally, I should have the same answer. But I'm not sure if I'm really honest. I'm not sure if I'd react in the same way because I haven't got the commitment to the game. It's not important to me. But really, I'm kind of inclined to think you should say something, and something that's black and white.
Yeah.
I think if you start to blur the lines, like what's my chances of hitting here, right? If you can't calculate it, then you've got to declare the shot and get some help from your opponent to calculate it if necessary. Okay. Yeah. So I think I wouldn't allow the lines to be blurred, but I think something that's as black and white as that, where you're both together making a mistake clearly. I think you should say something.
Yeah. I always think that people overreact to this kibitzing thing. I think. I
don't think that's kibitzing. To me, kibitzing.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think some people think kibitzing as any talk about the game.
Yeah.
Because the trouble is, you can look at the setup, for example, shake your head and walk away.
Yeah.
And that's more of that's bad form, right? That's bad form. And I think a lot of us have done that.
I suppose you could go and tell the tournament director, and then at least it's up to them. But I guess you could do that. But is it in the rules somewhere? I don't know. It should be in the rules.
Let me just talk about your other game. Talk about your, I don't know what your. Try and find the Bound in Fire rules. Keep them entertained, Martin. Keep them entertained.
Yeah, that's what I'm. So you've got the right man for the job here, Dave. So we can pause it here, perhaps.
Okay. So the rules that Simon put out here were no smoking. For drinking was allowed. Strictly no kibitzing unless expressly agreed by both players involved in the game.
Which we did with our game when Neil came over.
Yes, yeah. So I would argue that his argument about strictly no kibitzing
I think he needs to be clear in future on whether that means explicit mention of a rules that's wrong or not.
Yeah, I mean it's awkward because he's put kibitzing in quotes as well. So I don't know if that's more or less. I mean, my strict interpretation of that would be, he considers
you
any.
leave there's two guys playing, and it's their rules knowledge that's going to drive that game.
Yeah, but of course,
I can accept that. If that's the rule of the tournament, I can accept that.
Yeah, I think the difference is that a lot of time players ask, and that's obviously, I assume.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine when someone would say, "Sorry, you can't ask outside interference for this question"? No,
well, yeah, you can, because people do it all the time. They just lean over to a friend, don't they? Go, do Cruz cower? Yeah. You could potentially, as the opponent, say, "Excuse me, don't answer that question."
Oh, jeez, that would be terrible.
But then that's literally saying that you want to take advantage of the lack of rule, the mistake that your opponent is making.
Yeah,
and that's not good gamesmanship. But then he shouldn't. Then in that situation, he shouldn't be asking people if that's how strict the game is being played. Nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. That's
there we go.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, the other rule that Simon put in was please similarly avoid noisy conversations close to games that are going on. I think that's very, very difficult to.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes the players need to police that a little bit themselves and just have the.
I think, to be honest, you get focused in the game, you don't notice the noise around you, do you? I sometimes get annoyed by people coming over and commenting. That sometimes annoys me. Not kibitzing, but just coming over and standing over you and being quite kind of like quite a physical presence. Kind of start asking you, how's it going? How's your wife? How's your
looking under a concealment counter?
Yeah. That can be annoying sometimes. It isn't always, but it can be annoying.
Yeah, and the tricky thing about that is it's never the first one or the second one, is it? It's if you've had 4 or 5 on the trot, and then
they don't know that, do they? They don't know that they're the 4th or 5th. Yeah, exactly.
And every now and again, and I know it because I've seen your face, but you'll have an opponent who is, and this is unfair, they're quite chatty and they're quite friendly to everybody around them.
Yeah.
And they take great delight in leaning back when someone comes to invite a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's just being friendly, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if it happens lots and lots,
that's one of my pet hates. I don't mind it to an extent, but after when it's slowing the game down and you're starting to feel there's no real progress going on, it's too much. Yeah. Have a drink with them afterwards, after the game.
Yeah.
Say hello, and then head down so they know you're concentrating. That's what I think.
That's fair. So you played. Okay, I was going to say, you played 2. Was it 2 scenarios you played? The Japanese.
No, I didn't. So I played Hit It and Quit It with Richard Webb, which is the tournament scenario, and I played Tom Repetti, a different scenario, like a friendly scenario. Which we didn't finish, actually, so we need to get back to that. But we didn't. It's not related to the tournament, really. It's just a friendly game.
I was only asking about Blackpool still, just to follow up on where.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, it's okay. I wasn't clear. Sorry, I wasn't clear. Okay, I was just going to say, did you have a favourite one out? But it sounded like Feast Day was.
Feast Day was a fantastic game. We had it was a really good scenario. But all the games were good.
Yeah.
All the games. I had good games over the tournament.
And Gary must have had a good time as well, because Gary obviously played the Japanese for you for the first time.
Yeah.
I looked over, and the next game he was playing was Burn Gurkha Burn as well.
Which is a cracker of a scenario.
Yeah. And that came down to the last dice roll, last turn and everything.
And do you know who beat me at that, actually? Burn Gurkha Burn is Alex, the top Welsh player. Or the top player living in Wales.
Yes.
I don't think we call him the top Welsh player in the world, because he's the only Welsh player that we're aware of, a person lives in Wales who plays ASL at tournaments. He's relatively new to the game, but he beat me at Burn Gurkha Burn, and we had a good time with that. But that wasn't at the tournament. But Alex also brought me 4 Racco things with all the little ASL trays in them that was spare from his set. Good. So very, very kind of him. And I've been setting up, putting all loads of cutting up little counters and things like that the last couple of days.
Nice.
Which I don't like doing really, but it's nice to get things properly organised.
It is, and I realised that I've got to get my Poland in Flames counters sorted out, because I hadn't realised how different, but the the 437s are quite different, or the 457s are quite different in Poland in Flames
Yeah.
to they are in the Allied miners.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got to change it because they've got different broken morale numbers.
Yeah.
And I think they've got assault fire or something like that. So
Mm.
I've got to get those into the set as well. Right.
Excuse me.
Before you collapse.
Expire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at hit it and quit it.
Okay.
So Pete Shelling's recommendation, we are celebrating Pete Shelling and all his scenarios. We mentioned before his particular favourite ones. Pete asked us to take a look at this one for the semi-final, I think. So that's what we are doing. Now, it's a strange little scenario. Partisans against German trucks. This is AP193. We're looking at 6 German 447s here, with 4 coming on as reinforcements as well. And they're coming on turn 3. And the Partisans have 13 squads, 337s, and a couple of concealed dummies coming on as well.
Yeah.
And the deal is they've got to basically try and set fire to these trucks or eliminate them, and then also get off. So they get a point for a squad coming off the board. They get a point for destroying a truck, and they get 2 points, I believe. Yeah, 2 points for a burning. Oh, sorry, 3 points for a burning truck.
Yeah.
2 points for a destroyed truck, and 1 point for each good order squad, but not equivalents, getting off the board. And they get CVP as well, but without prisoners. So I'm playing my nemesis Tim Reed. I haven't beaten Tim. I played him 3 times now.
I don't believe anyone has ever beaten Tim.
Tim is
I've known some good players. I very highly rate Tim as a player.
Yeah, so I'll run through my one first.
Yeah.
So Tim is coming on here. Well, I'm coming on. Tim is.
So I can't see this, Dave. Which
let me just stop a second and get into a scenario. Sorry, Martin. Thank you for reminding me. Let's get onto a vassal server for you.
It's a good idea.
Because it sounds like that's probably what we need.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're in hit it.
Okay.
All right. There we go. Sorry.
I've got a different what's the name number to you, but that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
So
okay. I can see it
you
now.
see me now,
That's
right?
really useful. That's really helping.
You can see now the difference here. So here I come flying on. We get a little bit of defensive fire. One guy breaks. So I'm coming on from this point here.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is because
So I don't think that row I is in play.
it's not. Those guys are off board,
Right,
and
okay.
Tim pointed that as well.
Fine.
Tim pointed that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to be kibitzing here.
No,
but,
no, it was a rules error, and I'm happy for you to kibitz that one. So you can see me jumping on here.
Yeah.
And I thought that was all right. It was a decent start to start with.
Yeah, it looks good.
The dummies get destroyed by the machine gun fire, which is all right. A little bit of advancing.
That's your advance. Yeah.
So defends. Now there's a special rule in this one that the partisans can withdraw if they go into an empty hex with a truck and they can close.
They can withdraw from close combat.
Yes. Now I want to see in these games if anybody misses the fact that truck hex has got to be empty, because I certainly tried to, and then we spotted the rule. So I find some dummies. Now, I mean, the reality of this is that I found that 3 firepower against Germans in stone buildings
isn't very effective.
Yeah.
And you can't have multi-location fire groups, can you? You can only have. So you've got the whole risk of stacking if you want a decent amount of firepower.
Exactly that. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But you're trying to keep concealed, crossing over the.
Yeah.
It's difficult, though, isn't it? Difficult.
Yeah. So you can see the fire lanes start tearing me apart. I get a little battle hardened there. Yeah. But I have a few shots at the trucks. This is my first chance to think about withdrawing
Yeah,
here.
but you can't because there's a unit in the
There's a unit in this one
adjacent place.
here. Yeah, I could go to this one here, but I don't think I'm able to. I can't remember what happens here. I think.
Yeah.
Do I?
Oh yeah, got close combat everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I roll a 6 on the. So there's no ambush. So I think I don't. So I can. So I can attempt to withdraw here.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So at this
But
point,
he
I
gets
think.
a free attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
He's going to get a shot at me here, and obviously I'm withdrawing, so he gets the -2 against me as well.
Yeah.
So he's 1-to-1 with a -2. So I feel like that's not worth taking the shot.
Yeah.
Or taking the risk. I win the close combat on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
But I take a lot of fire, a lot of pins here. Just break these guys.
Yeah.
The half squad's around to run. I mean, I've got a hole broken. This stack here is completely broken. I can actually zoom in here for everyone a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole stack is all
It's
broken.
getting grim, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got broken guys everywhere, really. I tried to do some shots, bits and pieces. I mean, and the reality is, I think I've scored 1 point.
You didn't take any prisoners.
No. Yeah, more death.
Yeah, these reinforcements haven't gone yet, have they?
Exactly that. The partisan comes down. I fail the morale check here, and that was it. Yeah, there was just no.
That was hard. It didn't feel like you really made a lot of. Really got to grips with him in a way.
Oh,
yeah.
Hang on, sorry.
Got a couple of close combats that are significant, I suppose.
I can't hear you if you're talking to me.
Okay.
All right. Let's get back on. All right, I'm back in again.
Yeah.
So just really, really tough. So that's what I have. Okay, who's next, Martin?
Should we do my game?
Yeah, you do yours.
Okay.
Who were you?
So I was the Partisans, and I played Richard Webb.
All right.
So if I are they going to let me do this?
Are they the vassal guys?
Yeah.
Can I let you do that?
Load game. No.
Okay, so you create a new one. I'll jump into you.
Okay, I'm just going to call it hit.
Okay, I see it. Okay, let's join that one.
And I'm going to lock the room. Okay.
All right, okay.
Right,
all right,
so
see you.
It's just the game that we finished. Here we go. I'm loading it now. Save game, no. Okay, right, so you're on sync.
We're just loading. Okay, we're in. Yep.
Okay, cool. So Richard did a really nice little setup for this, which I really appreciated. He's the Germans. He's set up as the Germans, but we've got the little victory point things there. CVP, nice. CVP, and exit CVP.
Okay.
So I thought that was really good. Okay, so
people can see that. There you
go. Right. So let's start moving on then. So I'm coming in from the right-hand side. So quite different to the way that you played.
Yes.
I'm kind of thinking that they're probably dummies in the building. So I move a 1-2-7 concealed in, and indeed they are. He takes a shot though. Luckily I passed whatever it was. I think it was a pin check. Get a little bit of. Now we had a slight disagreement about this, but I didn't think it mattered because he did a spraying fire and put 1 residual in G8. I don't think that works because I think it counts as area fire in the other hex, and so it would have been half a residual. Obviously,
yes. Yeah.
But it didn't matter because I wasn't going there, so we didn't look it up. So we left the residual there. Okay. Now this is sneaky, Dave. These are dummies.
Oh, nice.
Running all the way around the back there. Try and keep him busy over there. It doesn't have that effect whatsoever. So yeah, we got these guys. They're real. So yeah, across the whole side there, really. But of course, I feel really hampered by the fact that I can't use fire from more than one hex.
Yep.
Okay, so what are we in? This is so this is advances, isn't it? Okay, so I kind of feel like I made a bit of progress.
Yep.
Is it his turn?
This is where you wish those dummies were a stack of real units, because they've done quite well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you say actually they'd be really good over there.
Yeah.
And they could have been. So he takes a nice little prep fire shot, breaks me in G7. Other prep fire shots are ineffective. And I've got a little bit of a plan to get into the building with a steeple and set fire to it, so that anybody trapped upstairs.
Oh,
that's my little plan at the moment, right? I don't get to do it, but I thought that'd be quite cool because they've got
Molotovs.
They got Molotovs, of course, yeah. Which I think I use a few times.
Yep.
That does actually boost the firepower quite. Managed to get a kill on a vehicle, which is nice. So there's off to got some points. And he's moving around. Goes into F7. Now I thought this was a mistake. He's partly thinking I can't do multi-hex fire groups, which is quite true. Later came up to me at the tournament in Blackpool and said he's had sleepless nights over advancing into F7.
Oh, no.
So he felt, obviously, in reflection, thought it probably wasn't such a good idea. And of course, they break in my turn.
Right.
And I managed to get something either side of them as well. Now, I think he might guess that they're dummies here, the guys on the left-hand side, because I just assault move and advance them.
Right.
But there we go. Getting some good shots pinning me. But I'm able to get into some of these stone buildings. And that's really key, isn't it? Once you get in, it's a bit more 50, sort of 50. Big close combats. Well, one big close combat. We've got the guys upstairs in circle. I won the close combat. Of course I did. You know what my dice are like. But using the trucks to kind of move across the road, keep concealment. That was cunning, I thought. So I now have some CVP as well. 4 for CVP. Oh, we need 15 points or something to win?
I think 10, I think.
Is it 10?
20, okay. 20.
Yeah. Get a nice little break, a bit lucky break in E4 against the Germans there. And then we're pressing.
Yeah.
Pressing
you're kind of hoping that he's going to fire at this point because you're like, you've got nothing left to do with them.
Yeah, but I kept somebody on it, kept him honest, kept something over there.
And you've got 6 CVP as well.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we're about to take another. We're breaking guys, but the thing is, he is doing quite a good job of protecting the brokers. Well, until I got round to D3, and then it's a bit harder for him.
Right.
So what's happening here? This is not the end of the game. I'm not quite sure. Oh, this is the reinforcements coming on. Okay, so the thing is, I can get off on any side. I think, is that right? It's any side of the board.
Yes. Any boardage.
Yeah. So we started doing some calculations even from now with what points I've got and whether things could get off. But the Germans are coming in, counter-attacking. It doesn't necessarily matter if I lose a couple of guys because they don't. Germans don't get points. It's only me, isn't it? As long as I've got enough to get off. Got a German broken unit in the woods, so I'm aiming to try and get some more points for him. Not quite sure what happened then. I think I don't know. Yes, here we go. Yes, so go down there. So I'm going to get another point or 2 for the German unit. I've got some guys ready to go off, and I think it's about now that we realise that mathematically, Richie can't stop me from winning.
Oh right.
But it was a nice game. Very good game. Yeah.
It's a very different scenario, isn't it? Very different to like a normal scenario. It's got some. You don't often see this kind of like kind of insurgent style attack.
It's almost a sort of raid, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a partisan raid. And we did. You know what? We briefly were under the slight misapprehension that if he blew up his own trucks, that they wouldn't count. But we reread the victory conditions. It's quite clear that that I get points for
for
destroyed
each
trucks.
burning wreck, each non-burning wreck. Yeah,
But for a moment, we say, "Oh, hang on, is this a scenario breaking thing?"
yeah.
But no, we checked the wording, and it was
Very good.
fine. There we go.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Richard.
Okay.
Good game.
So now we've got presumably another semi-final. So mine was a semi-final against Tim. Do we have? Do we know
the
who?
other semi-final?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So the other semi-final is Andy Bagley and Tuomo Lucari.
Okay.
And Andy Bagley plays the Partisans.
Okay.
So
It's
if I
one for
load
you
that game
bingo
up-
checkers out there. We've got a mention of another Tomo.
Yes.
All right. So do we know who's who?
Hang on. Well, just give us a minute.
I will do.
Just give us a minute. I'm trying to get this. Yeah. Okay. Right. We do know. So, okay. But do you want to sync with me now?
Yeah.
Andy Bagley is the Partisans,
Okay.
and Tuomo Lucari is the Germans.
Okay.
So we have a setup here. So it's not massively dissimilar, perhaps, to the one that Richard. Let's see what Andy does. He's got some guys coming in from over there, like you. So he's split the force. That's quite a nice, sneaky little route around the back, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
there's a lot of Germans.
Yeah, it's very
can
similar
do
to my attack. Yeah.
Very similar, yeah. I wonder if they're dummies as well. We got a close combat, but I think it was just a dummy. Thing is, if you place things in you can actually advance in, can't you? But then, of course, it slows. If it's just a dummy, you're getting quite good value out of the dummy. German prep fire, quite a bit of prep fire, a little bit of skulky moving, and close combat. Oh, gosh, yes, we've got half squad in F5 already.
Yeah.
He's had to run the gauntlet, hasn't he?
It's done well.
Yeah. Few pins and things, but yeah, really approaching D3. Real units going around the back this time.
Yeah.
Quite a nice attack. Seems to be going reasonably well. You got a lot of broken Germans. I've never seen that steeple counter before. Okay, interesting. So yeah, close combat's going on.
They're right on top of the trucks, aren't they?
Yeah, all over them. And of course they get encircling fire.
We've got a blaze as well. So it's our first. Is that our first truck blaze?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
6 VP so far.
Yeah.
Oof.
Another blaze.
Oof. Look at this.
Oh, a lot of Germans just died there. That'd be another load of points. Partisans on 12 now.
Wow, Partisans looking good.
They definitely do. Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Wow. Now, interestingly, these guys, these guys are going to have to recombine, aren't they, before they can come off? But he's got the leader there ready.
He's got the leader there ready. He's like the snooker player, isn't he? Who lines up the second shot perfectly.
Nice, yeah.
But still melee's going on galore. But I think. Yeah, he's got himself his squads ready to jump.
There's a double one there in the close combat.
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for the Germans to win now.
But reinforcements coming right at the right time.
Yeah.
But of course, these guys on the right hand side can just scoot off, presumably.
Yeah.
He's going to presumably jump it. Oh yeah, so it's a lost game, isn't it? I think they just scoot off for the win. Oh, the leader goes into close combat.
They're locked in melee. I think they've agreed to. I think that's the end of it.
Nice. Nicely done. A very, very good attack from the Partisans.
So that's Andy through, isn't it, to the
so
final?
Andy against Tim in the final.
Mm-hmm. Right, the next one I was going to play is Dave Maresh and Paul Legg.
Okay.
Our very own Paul Legg. Now, Dave Maresh has written a little thing about it, so I'll read that. It's very short, but just a little bit of commentary on what happened. Webb, Leg. And we have Slunt Hall as well.
Okay.
So we have 2 more games. Okay. Right, so let's open that. And let me find what's been written. Okay, so games, IR24, round 3, Moresque Leg. Okay, here we go. So Paul and I played a quick, furious engagement today with my part. I'm not going to say that bit. Germans were engaged quickly, lots of close combat. One melee lasted 6 turns.
Wow.
So I can't read the rest. Yeah, no, I can't read the rest.
Okay.
But, okay, because it will give away the excitement. I know people are.
Who's who in this one?
On tenterhooks. Okay. So Dave Moresque is the Partisans, and Paul Legg is the Germans. Here we go.
Hang on 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I haven't.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So let's synchronize up with you.
Ready?
It's coming. Yep, we're good.
Okay, right. Okay, and we're off. We got a very small force at the top this time from Dave, and then main force coming on the right hand side. It's actually quite good for the purposes of illuminating rounds that this isn't too big a scenario, actually, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Kind of, very strong, the Partisans on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got a melee. I wonder if we got 2 melees. I wonder if this one of these is the one that lasts for 6 turns. We'll have to see. Oh, fanatic Partisans. You got the Germans encircled upstairs. Yeah, being trapped upstairs there is definitely a risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still these melees going on. I think it probably is in the benefit of the Partisans to have like these melees going on, because you've got full German squads tied up, haven't you? You've got lots of little 337s can go around blowing up the trucks.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little bit confused which turn we're on, actually. So German won that melee. Oh no, mutual destruction. So it's one in the H8 that's obviously going to keep going. The Germans can't reinforce it, and there's no benefit, I think, to the Partisans to reinforce it. The Germans are starting to look a little bit thin on the ground, though. We've definitely got things going up in smoke. You've got to put the blaze counter on, not the smoke counter, haven't you? The blaze counter is much more dramatic. I think that's a mistake. And then using the blaze to kind of like move across into the road.
I've got a flame there, presumably from Molotov.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, lots of close combats.
Wow. The Germans almost wiped off the map.
Almost. And here come the reinforcements. But they've got one good order unit from the original group, I think.
All right. Wow.
So, I mean, how many points? Do we know how many points they're on? 16, I think that says.
Yes.
Okay.
18 now. So, yeah, it looks good for the...
It does look good for the Partisans.
It looks good for them.
Yeah, there we go. That's the end. That's obviously where Tomo's conceded.
Presumably Paul Legg, you mean?
Sorry, Paul Legg conceded. Yeah, I'm in the last game still, aren't I? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That was nice. That was...
Yeah. And that was furious. I like Dave Moresque's description. That was a furious, sort of close combats everywhere, things blowing up. It's good. Yes, nice. It's best. Okay, so the final game is Steve Slunt and Stephen Hall, the 2 Stevens.
Okay.
Now, Stephen's relatively new to ASL. Steve Hall, who's British, relatively new. Steve Slunt, I think, is much more experienced. So let me find their game. Right. And I shall tell you when to sync with me.
Okay, so do we know who's who as well?
We do. Okay, do you want to sync with me?
Yeah.
Steve Slunt is the Germans and Stephen Hall is the Partisans. And this is the last game that we have. So we are still hoping that Peter Albrecht and Mike Grogan will get their game to us. And Jim Bishop and Doug Leslie will get their game to us at some point. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we have the more experienced Steve Slunt as the Germans.
Defending and Stephen Hall attacking with the Partisans. I like he's gone for two sides, hasn't he? You got the little group at the top, group at the side. So here they go. He's got a broken unit straight away. Hang on, was there Germans? No, he's got Germans upstairs. Do you know what? I think that's the first. I mean, they might be dummies, but I think that's the first time we've seen that.
And they can set up in buildings.
Yeah, but they set up in the upstairs of the buildings in the H row.
Right.
And as I say, it's actually quite a nice little thing to do. And I think it's the first time we've seen it. Anyway, everyone takes advantage of the route that I thought that I was a genius to discover.
I didn't spot it, don't worry.
And of course, it's made it very difficult for him to rout if they're real German units.
Yep.
So we've got close combats. Looks like they were dummies.
Yeah.
Okay. They would be trapped up there, wouldn't they? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Unit, F7 moved out to try to protect flank a little bit. It's tempting to stay in a stone building, isn't it, when that's the alternative?
Yes.
And this is one of the things I hate about this. I don't hate this, but one of the things I don't like about this game sometimes is you get into, once the enemy gets into stone buildings, if they're stronger than you, there's nothing you can do about it. They'll just keep taking sort of 2 hexes each turn or whatever, because you firing at them is pointless.
Yeah.
And, they've got the advantage for the close combat, and that's what we've got here with Steve Slunt moving his German as Partisans through that building. Although, we've got some vehicles going up now. We can't see can we see the score? I can't see the score.
Don't see it anywhere.
No. But I think some Germans have certainly died, and the vehicles are beginning to go pop.
It's perhaps a good time as well. We can talk about the final as well.
Yeah.
We are going to take scenarios from Lino Colin, who's done a lot of scenarios for both La Franctiere and MMP. And we've got the final, which is going to be Belgium Blitzkrieg, which you and I have played and loved. According to my log, we had a really good time playing it.
Yeah.
But this one looks like it's getting up close and personal.
It's very up close and personal, and things are definitely blowing up, and the reinforcements are coming on as well. They're coming on from the top. And so there's still a proper fight going on down there.
Yeah.
I just realised that all those are dummies, partisan dummies. Germans rushing in.
Oh, okay, here goes the trucks.
I quite like these scenarios where you get to attack and defend.
Yep. What's he got? He's got at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
There's at least 10 points, I think he's got.
Yeah, there's some quite... Okay, so it looks like the Germans have done quite well with some of the close combats. Oh, blimey, did you just see that?
There was a big...
A wounded leader, or possibly he's just wounded. He just literally wiped out a stack.
Wow.
Oh, there we go. 1-1.
Oh.
Okay. I don't know if it was a stack, but whatever, it was more than just one other. It was a multi-man counter of some sort. He's earned his porridge, hasn't he? There we go. Obviously, you can see the traditional argument about who had the best dice at the end there.
So do we know who's of the?
Yes. So this was Steve Slunt that won this as the Germans.
Right. Okay. That's they did all right. The Partisans they took.
Yeah, they took all right. They
Took a
started
lot of
blowing up
Germans with them.
vehicles. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
did sorted some. Yeah, but then in the end they weren't able to quite have enough points to win.
Yeah, I can't see. So
So
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, maybe 12 or 13 points. But
yeah,
yeah, okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Good stuff. Thank you to everybody who has played and those that are carrying on playing. We'll try and show those games as well when they come in. That was Pete Shelling's choice. Pretty good.
yeah,
Pretty good choice.
and very different. Very
yeah.
very different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It was interesting, different scenario completely.
yeah.
Did you learn anything new at Blackpool or in your most recent games? Have you learned anything? What's the most recent thing you've learned, either tactic or rules? Can you think of anything that you've learned new?
Do you know what? It's interesting because playing with Martin, I think plays the British very well, and like there's a bit of me thinks, well, they don't cower, like so. What else is there? But there's lots of intricacies to that. So he deploys a lot into half squads with the British, and when a 2 firepower unit fires at a stone building, if it's British, well, so if it's not British or if it can cower, it's not enough to create an encirclement.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is with the British because they don't. So that was really interesting to see how he was able to kind of like deploy quite a lot, but didn't really get any disadvantage from being deployed. They can still fire group, they can still be in the same hex or whatever, but gave him an awful lot more kind of maneuverability, and it made it difficult because when I had like quite a big stack that could do some damage, all I could do was sort of break a half squad, and he had 8 round troops, so they were able to rally. So I thought that was really interesting.
Right.
Also, I think he uses his tanks like really, really judiciously. Like he took a tank right the way around the back of me, and I never really do. I never think it's going to take me 3 turns to do this, but that's just the right place for it. And he had this nice little shot which just encircled a stack of guys I had in a stone building perfectly. But it really made things really, really difficult for me. In fact, in that hex, it was shrouded in smoke, surrounded by British, had a tank firing at it. But yeah, so I think some of the kind of subtleties of using the British, I thought was quite interesting.
Okay.
And actually uses smoke grenades a lot. Now, smoke. These were not ordinary British, so they had smoke on a 2. And I tend to forget to use it if it's like less than a 3. I mean, with the Americans, I might remember to use it because it's such a high exponent. Yep. But a 1 for the British, I never use. 2, I could easily forget about. But he was using it all the time.
Right.
And often getting it, and it would often make quite a big difference to his movement options. Yeah, it's good.
So I learned from Ian Morris. He was attacking as the Japanese, and he told me, he goes, "Oh yeah, I've got my hip as well." And he hipped on the attack the Japanese, and now they are all going to be moving. They are all going to be running down the. So what's the purpose of hipping Japanese?
To influence your. No. Okay.
Yeah, he sets up second.
Yeah, I don't know, Dave. Tell me.
It was a big machine gun stack and leader. So it was his kill stack. He didn't want my sniper to go near there, and it avoids until he has to fire in either prep fire or whatever he wants to do, advancing fire or whatever. Yeah. It keeps them off the board, so that he can fire them, for example, last, and the sniper won't hit the leader with the heavy machine gun and medium machine gun stacks.
Yeah. Excellent.
Now, I kind of thought, well, you could.
I do know that they can use their hip when attacking, and I have done that. But that was a very good use of it.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? It was interesting. So yeah, little 1% gains everywhere. You can. I mean, it didn't help Ian, but
No, but it might have done.
It might have done. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we've got something from Toby. We'll play it next time on, funny enough, infantry smoke grenades, but we'll do that next time. Yeah. Toby couldn't make the tournament. I think he had some car problems, so we wish him and his car.
I wonder why he wasn't there.
Yeah, we wish him and his car well. And other than that, Martin, get better soon.
Thank you. You too.
I will do my best. We're going to try and squeeze another episode in before I head off. So I'm off on a cruise soon.
I didn't know that. You don't tell me anything these days.
I tell you, I'm going on a cruise. I've smuggled you in. I've got you my big luggage for my portable opponent.
Can you play Vassal while you're on the boat?
Do you know what? I don't think it's going to be good. I'm going to like Panama and then Costa Rica, Jamaica, and Aruba, and I've got a feeling there's dodgy Wi-Fi.
It does feel a little bit once in a lifetime, rather than let it all drift past outside. I'll play Martin in the cabin.
Can you keep the noise down out there? Anyway, So we will try and get an episode out before then. So
good idea. Yeah.
All right.
I've got an exam on Friday, and then I'm freed up a little bit.
Good stuff. Okay. All right. Well, take it easy. Thanks again to Simon for a great tournament. We had a good time. Well done to all the players in the tournament. If you want to play in the starter kit, I have had now one person contact me, either through GameSquad or dave.ramsey@gmail.com.
So is one person enough to do a little mini tournament, Dave?
Not yet. We need one. We need at least one more, and we'll make them work for it as well. We will make them work for it.
And actually we have got some people who are interested in doing a video of a game.
Yes.
So Phil Draper and Tim Bunce are actually playing a game at the moment, and they're planning to do something. Okay. And I think somebody else approached us and asked as well.
Tim Reed has mentioned he might be doing one. So
yes, excellent, good.
It's all available. All right. Until then, Martin, take care. I will speak to you soon.
Cheers all.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks, patrons. Oh, Bill Finlayson has just joined us as a patron. Bill was the player that you played, I think, one of his first games, and he beat you, didn't he? Guards counterattack. You were basically you were pulling the strings. Right. You remember that? I don't remember that. But yeah. So
I don't remember that game. But well done, Bill.
Yes, thanks very much for your support. You have access now to the nice Scenario Archive graphics. Take care, and thanks all to everybody for support and everything like that. See you all soon. Cheers.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.